Hello, and welcome to the PhD Life Raft podcast. I'm Emma Brzezinski, and today I am talking to the lovely Wafaa Aldhfairi. We're talking about Substack and how you might make use of that platform as a PhD researcher. Wafaa's got some brilliant advice in terms of creating and sharing your research information via Substack, but also accessing Substack as a consumer. So I do hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, Wafaa.
Hello.
I am so excited about this discussion because it's a whole new world to me. And when you made contact and said what you were doing, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Tell me more about this. Tell me more. So in a minute we're going to be getting into that and Substack and the way that you're negotiating that and using that on your research journey. But before that, I'm going to ask, as I ask everybody, to tell us a little bit about your journey into the PhD and where you are now.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, I would love to tell you a little bit about how I found myself in a PhD program. Um, I was, to be honest, kind of, I did not know what I wanted early in my career. I was just going with the flow, and um, and when I did my pharmacy school, that was my undergrad. I didn't want to be a pharmacist. I didn't like it.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't. I did not. I didn't really like working with the patients and being like one-on-one with patients every day.
Right.
I guess I'm kind of sometimes an introvert, like to
Right.
be in the
Right. Right.
background.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
so I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I spent 5 years going to pharmacy school. So someone said, oh, why don't you do research? You enjoyed lab, and I did. I really enjoyed the time in pharmacy school when I was in the lab and doing research. So I did my master's. Still, I was a bit like, my heart wasn't really in it. But then I stuck it through, and I went to my PhD. And the first year of my PhD, the first year where I was really treated like a scientist, where I had control over my project, control
Mhm.
over the hypothesis, that is when I fell in love with what I do.
Oh,
Uh,
amazing.
yeah. And sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, so you mean you went through 5 years of pharmacy school, 2 years of master's, and then you found the love for your work? And I'm like,
Uh,
yeah, sometimes you have
right.
to see things through. And I know
It's a
other people
slow
are not.
burn.
It is, yeah. Sometimes people are not as lucky as I am, but I'm thankful. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. I really love what I do, and I really love my PhD program, and I'm thankful for the support that I got.
Amazing. Well, this is always good to hear people in love with their project because hopefully the PhD is a big love story. It can have all the ups and downs that a love story has, but hopefully it's fundamentally a love story. And I love that happened for you. And I think also really important in your story, you find out what you don't like because that can be really helpful, as it was for you to kind of orientate yourself. Um, so you're in love, you're loved up with your work.
Yeah.
um, so then tell us a bit about what it is you're doing now then with Substack. Well, first of all, let's rewind a little bit because I'm rushing on. But first of all, then tell us a bit about Substack, how you discovered that, what it is, and what goes on there, and then how you're using it in your research.
Yeah. So Substack is kind of platform for writers to write blogs, a newsletter, and share it with an audience, subscribers. So people can either go to Substack and check out your blog, or they can subscribe to it, um, and you send it to their email directly. How I found out about Substack is that I wanted to write, I wanted to reach a broader audience, and I guess other social media does not give you that liberty to write a really long
Mm,
posts,
mm,
or
mm.
sometimes even not a really long post. Sometimes you want to put more than one picture. You want to even add a link to a podcast, but um, you know,
Yes, yes, it's more
reference.
long form.
Yeah, but in that other social media does not really accommodate that too.
No,
So I started talking with other creators and writers, and they were like, "Why don't you try Substack?" And I went there, and at first, for the first 3 months, I was actually using it as a consumer. I was
right.
following a lot of good newsletters, and I felt so much of the added value of Substack. I was I got during those 3 months, I got very well informed about pharma and other writers and that write about the pharmaceutical industry. And I wanted to contribute and I wanted to write, and I started my newsletter. And yeah, I started back in August last year. So it's still,
Amazing.
yeah.
And so in a minute, I want to talk to you a bit more about that and kind of how you construct that and what you do with that and how you're communicating and research through that. But first of all, let's just sit for a minute with this using Substack as a consumer, because I think it can be a brilliant resource for PhD researchers. I think it's lovely, because I've now signed up for a couple of Substack things. What I love is that you get this
Oh, nice.
email coming direct to your inbox full of things that you're really, really interested in. It's like,
Yes.
this is brilliant. There's too much stuff comes to us that we're not interested in, but this is great. And so I suppose if you're going onto Substack platform, how did you start to find out where the good stuff was?
Well, sometimes you just have to write the keyword. For
Okay,
example, in search, I just write pharma, or sometimes I write the name of the company that I want to see if anybody's talking about it. Um,
right.
it's kind of like you use it like you use what's that other platform? Discord, or how you use I forgot the name of that other platform.
It's like a
Um,
search engine, I suppose, is it? You're
I
using it
would,
like a search
yeah.
engine. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you will find a lot of newsletters, blog posts, and that's how you get introduced to writers that you really like how they write, and you follow, and you subscribe to their work, or like for example, companies that they write on Substack. I would use it. It's very simple to use. It's just like a search engine.
Mm, mm. And so, and then I suppose there's inevitable sign up to things that you're not really that interested in, and you can just unsubscribe, can't you? You just
Oh,
experiment.
oh yeah, yes. And sometimes you don't even have to subscribe. You just need sometimes to add it that you like that for example, you like that topic, and then you would just you can go into the app and see it. You don't need to have it in your mailbox.
Yeah. So it is, so it's an app as well.
Oh yes, it is an app as well. You can have it on your phone. I have it on my phone, and sometimes I do some reading when I'm in the line getting my coffee.
There you go. There you go. So it's so that's us as consumers, as you put it in gorgeously, in terms of us being able to go and access all this material, and smart people talking about things that they know an awful lot about. And you can kind of access that wisdom. But then in terms of you producing your own content and disseminating your research material, tell us a bit about that process.
So it's really good because I feel like it's all in one platform.
Right.
You can write book words. You can also customize how the display of the newsletter. You can add links. You can add podcasts. Also, you can create your own podcast on Substack um, and have it there. I didn't try that feature, but it's all in one platform, which is really good. It's also very simple to use. I never had a blog before, I never had a newsletter before, so it's very simple to use and it's very simple to publish. It's like few clicks. So the interface as a creator is very simple and very straightforward.
Love that. And how did you go about in terms of kind of curating the material that you were going to disseminate?
Well, to be honest, at first I thought about what would the reader wanted,
Okay.
and I am the reader. I think
Right.
I am consumer number one. Um,
Right.
I I read other people blogs and I feel like, okay, there is a gap. I wish if somebody would talk a little bit about this. And then
Right.
I do my research and then I put put my newsletter together and send it out. So that is how I came up with my content. Is just, and I believe this is how you come up with your content as well. Is just you see where is the gap and where is um or what is you're interested in and you want to know about. And you go after that, you do your research, and then uh, summarize it and put it outdoor. Is that how you make your content?
How do I make it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, how do I make you? Well, I have gorgeously, I have people who offer to come and talk about what they're doing, as you did, which is really gorgeous. And I also have, exactly as you say, things that come up that I think
Yeah,
actually we need to talk more about this. And I think what's lovely about what you were saying in terms of, we talk about the PhD being entering into a conversation that started a long time before you entered into the academy and will continue after you have done your work. And so I think this is an active engagement with that idea of being in conversation and thinking about what you're contributing to the conversation, or what you're
absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Oh, also, being on Substack, to be honest, it helped me write. It helped me sharpen my writing skills.
mm,
Also, my research skills, I would say, because you need to go out there and get the information, which is something similar to PhD. You need to go out there and get the information and bring it back and be and reconstruct it to be presentable. Um, so that was very helpful. Also, you need for me because it's related to what I do for my PhD. I'm a PhD candidate in pharmaceutical sciences, and my newsletter is about pharma. It's like what's important in pharma this week. So it's very related. So it helped me to stay informed. It helped me
mm,
to
mm.
stay on top of the industry, to read, to know the companies, what are they doing, and which company is coming up and doing that type of research. So it was very helpful for me.
Yes, and I think some people find this really, as you say, really motivational, especially if you're focused, if you are externally focused and you know that you need to get that produced for someone else, you need to go out there. You've got an audience, you need to get it out there. You will get the writing done, you will get the research done, and it will keep moving you forward. So it can be really, really useful. Um, I suppose the other thing is, though, do you ever find that it gets in your way, that you're working on the blog or the Substack rather than actually working on your research? Is there a tension there?
Oh yes, oh
Okay.
yes, oh
Okay.
yes. Let me tell you, I don't think PhD is a full-time job. I
Right.
think PhD is life. Like
Right. 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 Right.
sometimes you have to structure everything else around your PhD. I don't know, this is
Right.
my experience.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I guess it's just this is also doing this newsletter is a commitment for myself to it's a commitment to see if I can do something else other than my PhD, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right. Right. Right.
Because in PhD, you are still in the confinement of academia. You have a mentor that expects you to produce this by this time. Um, but having something on your own, like a newsletter, you don't have a boss. You just have nothing than the commitment you have for yourself and for your readers.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do that. And yes, it does um, sometimes it get overwhelming, but
Right.
I believe that we have control over our time and
Mm,
we make time to what we think is important. And my newsletter is important to me, so I make time for it. I'm still working on finding that um, habit, or I would say that schedule. And I feel like I'm getting the hang of it. As I said, we're still new. I started the newsletter in August. But so far I don't have a lot of issues, but it is an addition to my PhD work. It is indeed.
mm.
But yeah, it's a new challenge and I enjoy it.
I love that. I love that. Um, and I think do people make contact with you? Do you find that people are kind of feeding back and you're entering into conversations and making connections with people?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like for example, a few friends, they would read it and they would um tell me, "Oh, that was very insightful. That was very, I was hoping maybe if you can elaborate on that." And that's how now I started to make those
Mm.
quick reels, like videos on Instagram or videos on TikTok, just because some of my friend thought that that was very interesting. I wish if you can
Right.
elaborate a little bit on that, or that would be great if it was like you can hear it and see it. Um, so the I feel like right now because we're just starting, the feedback loop is not really well constructed, but it's
Mm.
starting like I'm still getting like a little bit of feedback from people close to me, my friends, a little bit of my colleagues. So yes, you always need to listen to feedback. You always need to have your ears open, and you always need to sometimes force people to read it and be like, give me some feedback.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, as I say, I think feedback can be in short supply on the PhD. And so actually having another forum that you might get feedback from is really useful. Um, and especially if it's positive and encouraging, but even if it's a critique that you can kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I could think about this. But I think the other thing from what you're saying is this sense of being able to make contact with potential collaborators, with people who are working in the similar fields. This is a brilliant opportunity to do that too, isn't it? That kind of it actually, because you're out there, people might find you and you might start connections that you wouldn't otherwise make.
Absolutely, I agree. Yes, absolutely. I think it's just also to showcase that you are in the field and you are aware, and also you start to be treated as a source of information because you know which company is doing what. Or, for example, you you are updated on, for example, that research, which is really good. It just puts you up front. And it also give you a voice in the larger conversation in science because sometimes you get lost, especially in your early career, and having a platform, it doesn't have need to be a Substack. It can be LinkedIn, it can be Instagram, it can be Twitter. I've seen a lot of good scientists have really huge Twitter following. It just helps you get yourself out there, make these connection of like-minded people, and contribute to the larger conversation.
Mm. And as you say, finding a platform that you feel comfortable in, which is why I was really
Yes.
excited to hear
Yes.
that you were on Substack in terms of because it's still fairly new Substack. I mean, it's been going for a while, obviously, but I think people are discovering it more now, and to have that as a platform that you feel really comfortable in, and that you it's a is a good format for sharing your work. And I do think it can be a great platform from what I've seen for writers, of which PhD researchers are all writers, all sharing a work through the
True,
written word.
true.
So yeah, this is potentially exciting, and people might want to, if they haven't come across it before or haven't experimented with that before, might want to give that a go. So if they are thinking about giving it a go, do you see how I did that? The what top tips then would you have for people?
Well, the first tip I would say is that at early stage when you're just thinking about starting, sometimes you don't have access to the consumer or the readers or what they want. So it's better to go back to the first reader, and which is yourself and the first
Mm,
consumer, and then ask what would I be interested in? And
yes.
what would I like to see? Because that would be easier. Because some people sometimes get lost about, oh, what would give me more clicks? What would give me more
All
views?
right.
What would give me, and you can get really lost in that. So I would really recommend going back first to yourself. Okay, what would I found to be of value and how can I provide that? So that's tip number one. And tip number two, which is related to tip number one, is that find a gap. Um, first be a reader, read, or if you want to be on Instagram or TikTok, just check on what others are doing and see, okay, where is there a gap that I can fill? Is there something that nobody is providing that I feel like I can provide? Or even if someone else is providing, can I provide it better or in a with a twist? Um, so first, don't get really lost. Just think about yourself and what can you provide. I would say this is the big tip. Um, the second one is that just start writing. Um, don't get hang up on, oh, am I a good writer or not? Because I do that because I'm not a native English speaker. And sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I hope they cannot sense my accents through my writing. But just start writing. And then at first you don't have to be perfect, and nobody is. And there will be a lot of mistakes because I got, I made a lot of mistakes, and I still do, and I'm still learning. So just start that learning process, start that journey. Um,
That's
what else?
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did you have more? Let's, or take
Uh,
all you've got to give.
okay. One more is that it's gonna be very slow to gain attraction and attention, especially if you are producing content. If it was very niche, like what I do, pharma, PhD related or whatever, it's gonna take a lot to gain attraction or attention. Also, you will need to market yourself and your content, especially in the early stages. You need to be really out there marketing, marketing. So don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. At the end, just consider this as work that you do for yourself. You're doing it for yourself. Um, and just don't be discouraged if you didn't get the number of subscribers you wanted. Um, and yeah, that is my final advice.
Oh, absolutely. And that really is golden, isn't it? Because and also the numbers can be absolute vanity numbers, can't they? We all know, we've seen people with, thousands and thousands of followers and they get 2 likes on what they said.
Oh
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh
These,
yes.
and actually, as you say, I think really wisely, this is not, this is for you, and the potential benefits as you've outlined for us that it could give you in terms of a commitment to writing, a commitment to showing up, a commitment to curating material that's useful for your research, a commitment to making contact with people who actually, are interested in your area. That those are the benefits to go for. And chasing
Absolutely.
numbers can
Yes.
be,
Hmm.
a never
Yeah,
ending and soulless task.
I agree. I agree.
um, Awesome. Thank you so much for taking us through that and offering us insights into that. I wish you every success with this. We will have all your details in the show notes so people can come and find you on Substack. Um,
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
you are so welcome. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you all for listening.